Are you ready to be stunned by one of the most shocking aviation disasters in history? On August 20th, 2008, Spanair Flight 5022 took off from Madrid, Spain, bound for the island of Gran Canaria. But just 10 seconds later, the plane crashed into the ground and burst into flames, killing 154 of the 172 passengers on board. How could a brand new aircraft crash just seconds after takeoff? As we unravel the mystery of the Spanair disaster, we'll explore the human error, technical malfunctions, and tragic consequences that led to this devastating crash. Get ready to hold your breath as we recount the final moments of Spanair Flight 5022. Will you join us on this heart-stopping journey? Welcome to Air Crash Investigation, the YouTube channel where we explore the deadliest aviation disasters and unravel the mysteries behind them. From mid-air fuel shortages to pilot error and beyond, join us as we delve into the most shocking and terrifying moments in aviation history. Subscribe now and don't miss a single episode of this gripping series. Spanair Flight 5022 went down in a tragic accident on August 20th, 2008. Exactly 14 years ago today. There were 172 people on board, including passengers and crew. The aircraft involved in the disaster was a McDonnell Douglas MD-82 that had been in service for 14 years and carried the registration number ECHFP. Spanair Flight 5022 was a regularly scheduled flight that flew from Josep Tarradellas Barcelona El Prat Airport, or BCN, to Gran Canaria Airport, or LPA, with a stop at Adolfo Suarez Madrid Barajas Airport in between. There were 172 people on board the aircraft, including passengers and crew. Did you know that the aircraft that crashed in Madrid needed maintenance just days before the tragedy? What could have gone wrong? Stay tuned to find out the truth behind the devastating crash of Spanair Flight 5022. The aircraft needed maintenance in Madrid. After the first leg of the flight from Barcelona to Madrid went off without a hitch, the flight controllers in Madrid gave the go-ahead for the aircraft's pilots, Captain Antonio Garcia Luna, 39, and First Officer Francisco Javier Muley, 31, to start their engines at 13:06. After that, the plane went from stand T21 in Terminal 2 to runway 36L by taxi. As soon as the aircraft reached the end of the runway, the flaps were pushed out to prepare for its departure. At 13:26, the crew radioed the tower to inform them that there was an issue and that they would need to return to the stand. This was after they had already been permitted to take off. The root cause of the case was a ram air temperature or RAT probe operating at an unsafely high temperature. As soon as they arrived back in the parking area of Terminal 2, the crew shut off the engines and contacted the maintenance engineers to request assistance with the issue. The heating part of the RAT probe was broken, which the mechanics confirmed. They then tried to fix the problem after making sure it was there. After being repaired, the plane taxied out to the runway. After the problem had been resolved, 1,080 liters of aviation fuel were added to the aircraft, and it was given the all-clear to begin the startup procedure and taxi out to runway 36L. The cockpit voice recorder captured the crew's final checks as they prepared for the flight. The recording was made while the team was getting ready to depart. At 14:23, the tower confirmed that the wind was coming from 210 degrees at 5 knots, and the airplane was positioned at the end of the runway, ready for takeoff. At exactly 14:23, the brakes were allowed to be released, and the takeoff roll was initiated for the aircraft. At 14 hours and 24 minutes, the aircraft had already reached V1 and was traveling at a measured speed of 147 knots. The stall warning shaker went off as soon as the nose gear lifted off the ground. And in addition, 3 separate times the horn and a voice recording sounded a warning of a potential stall. Before it crashed into the ground adjacent to the runway, the plane rolled to the right while airborne for a brief time. Both wings detached from the airplane as the fuselage split in two and was subsequently consumed by flames. Only 18 people would escape the plane alive out of 172 people on board, including passengers and crew. Both pilots were among the dead. The investigation into the crash. The investigation was carried out by the Civil Aviation Accident and Incident Investigation Commission, or CIA-IAC, as well as personnel from the United States National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, together with Boeing and Pratt & Whitney. Based on the investigation findings, it was determined that the crew had not set up the flaps appropriately for takeoff. If the flaps were not present, the wings of the aircraft would not be able to generate enough lift to keep the airplane in the air. Because of this, the pilots could not maintain control of the plane, ultimately leading to the accident. According to the findings that were revealed by the investigation, the accident was caused by the following. After the engine started, the pilots were supposed to go through a checklist. However, they should have deployed the flaps. The pilots should have double-checked to ensure that the flap lever was adequately positioned. During the taxi inspection, they should have verified whether or not the flaps were in the open or closed position. According to the findings of the Civil Aviation Accident and Incident Investigation Commission, the following were causes that contributed to the accident. The absence of a warning regarding an inappropriate takeoff configuration is a direct result of the inability of the takeoff warning system to function correctly. The inability of the crew to avoid disaster when they deviated from a standard operating procedure in response to unplanned disruptions to the flight preparations. As we have seen, the crash of Spanair 5022 was a tragic event that claimed the lives of 154 passengers and crew. The investigation revealed that the crash was caused by a combination of factors, including a faulty fuel pump and a lack of communication between the pilots and the maintenance crew. This tragedy serves as a reminder of the importance of thorough maintenance checks and effective communication in the aviation industry. The pilots of Spanair 5022 were faced with a difficult and stressful situation, but ultimately it was their responsibility to ensure the safety of the passengers and crew on board. The pressure on pilots to make the right decisions and ensure the safety of their passengers and crew cannot be underestimated. The importance of investigating and understanding the causes of plane crashes cannot be overstated, as it helps to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. In conclusion, the crash of Spanair 5022 highlights the need for constant vigilance and attention to detail in the aviation industry. It is our hope that lessons learned from this tragedy will help to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. Thank you for watching Air Crash Investigation. We hope you've enjoyed learning about these incredible and sometimes tragic stories from the world of aviation. Subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to stay up to date on all our latest episodes. And don't forget to leave us a comment to let us know what you thought of this episode.